Okay, today I'm going to share with you some using brush strokes, different kinds of brushes and different kinds of brush strokes, how to do some simple flowers and tree-lined landscape. So I've got 3 small pieces of various watercolor papers here. And so I'm just going to start with the center one, because what you have to do is you have to let layers dry in between. So it's good to have either multiple projects to work on or a blow dryer so that you can give one section it's got to dry completely before you can add more water and more paint. Anyway, so I'm just going to set up a simple mountainscape here a little bit. And I want to be able to have some trees there, so we're going to have some mountains over here. Okay, so this will be sky up here, and then we'll have some mountains and some trees, and maybe who knows what we'll have down here. We'll play it by ear. Okay, the first thing I want to do is the sky, and I'm going to wet this page. Okay, so I did some sky. I used the paper towel to create some clouds. Now I'm going to do, think about over on this side, I'm going to do a couple of tulips. So I'm going to set those up. All right, just do a quick sketch over here. This is a 6 round brush, and I'm going to put some water there, some water there, some water here. You don't want to, you want to give sections a chance to dry before you do the section next to it. So by getting these 4 spots wet, then I can paint in multiple places on this painting without interfering with the drying process. You notice how I'm letting the side of the brush do the work. Okay, so now I'm going to let that one dry. So I've got 2 drying. This over here, I'm going to do like some, maybe it's lavender, maybe it's salvia, some of these long stalks. And so I'm just going to lay out some different stalks that I can work from. And I'm going to use a filbert brush for this. Which is like a square-ended brush. And I'm just going to do some dabs. And I did notice I did not wet my paper first. This is a manganese blue, which is very similar to a cerulean. It's a little bit more transparent than cerulean, but it's pretty much the same color. So either one you have in your pack or in your paint kit. Okay, so that's the first step on 3 different paintings. This one is almost dry. All right, the first layer has dried, and now I'm going to continue on adding more color and more design. So I'm started on the sky here. Now I'm going to do some ground, which will also give this a chance to dry just a little bit more. So we're going to start with like some raw sienna, which is kind of an earth color, and I should wet this first. Let me just do a layer of water here, and I want to try and keep that out. Okay, so now that's going to dry. Over here, I'm going to wet this center part on both of these. And I'm going to put some yellow on the edges. Then I'm going to rinse out my brush, and I'm just going to pull some water through there. So I get, it's darker on the outside, lighter on the inside. And that one I think is a little dark, so I'm just going to play with it a little bit and get, let's see, I want this light in the middle because then that pulls out the center of those flowers so they look like they are rounded. Okay, so now those are going to dry. And then I'm going to come over here to my blue Savia or whatever it is, and I'm going to use a darker blue and this is kind of like a phthalo almost, I think. I'll have to look at my sheet and see what I've got on there. So you notice it's just simple. Just, you don't want to cover all of the other blue. You're just creating various textures in your flowers. I'm not worrying about the stems or the leaves, but notice I've got like some space in between there. That's where you're going to see bits of my stems when I go to do that. And then this last one. I think we're going to extend this one down just a little bit more, maybe this one too. So on this, I'm going to kind of clean that up a little bit, and I'm going to add some more blue. Actually, I think I'm going to go with some cobalt blue there. First, I'm going to kind of wet areas. And if I get some of the blue onto the mountains, that's okay, because mountains set in the back are always have a tendency to be somewhat blue. And so I think I want a bigger brush. Let's go with the 10. Get a little more coverage that way. It's still pretty dry. So I put some paint on, and then I just went over it with some water. So see, I'm kind of defining these clouds a little bit. All right, now we're ready for our third layer. Everything is dry, and we are going to, I'm going to add some more color to my foreground here on this. So I'm using my flat brush just to lay down some water. Okay, so that's good for that one. Over here on the tulips, I think I'm going to go with a darker yellow, like a gamboge or new gamboge, depending on what the brand that you have. The name could be a little bit different, but it's kind of this orangish yellow. And first I'm going to put some water. I'm going to take my wet brush and just kind of soften that edge a little bit. See, I use my paper towels a lot. Like I said, it's one of my favorite brushes. So what you're trying to do is to create some layers of shadow or of value, and what that does is it adds dimension to your image, to your painting. Gives it a little more realism. I'm back for another layer, and while I had the camera off, I decided that I needed ribbons. So I have added some pencil line ribbons there. Now over here I have blue flowers, and a good complement for blue is orange. So I'm going to do kind of a peachy ribbon on these blue flowers. And over here for yellow, the complement is violet, and so I'm going to do kind of a blue violet ribbon on these guys over here. And in the middle, I'm going to start building some trees. So this is, I'm using my, what is this? This is a 3, this brush. It's for medium details. I'm going to add another layer on the stems, and I'm going to put a little bit of, I'm going to start this ribbon over here. Okay, so I'm going to do a darker green, which will be a combination of Indian Throne Blue and sap green. And that's kind of for my shadow side of the so I don't completely cover the other colors. I kind of let them come through. But this darker green just adds some interest. Another layer of interest. It's those little details that make the difference in paintings. Okay, over here I'm going to, I think I'll build my ribbon first before I do the yellow on the stems, since or the green on the stems. So Now you might remember from our talk on the color wheel that the complement of orange is blue. And so I will be adding some blue into the ribbon on those tulips. But you can already see how much that makes those tulips pop. So I'm just using a little bit of water on my brush just to kind of drag this color and soften the edges. Now here I'm going to start doing some trees and I'm using my angled brush. And this is sap green. That's a really big tree for that mountain. We will bring that down so that it's in the foreground. A couple of trees there. And put some trees in the background too. Little tiny trees. If you have a fan brush, that's a very good brush for trees as well. Let's do some tall ones over here. You can also use this for shrub brushes too. Grass. Okay, so my trees are dry. I'm going to add some darker green, again with the Indian Throne. And the sap. I don't want to pick a side. I mean, the underside for sure is going to be darker. So by choosing to favor the left side of my trees, then I'm telling you that the light source is coming. And see, we've got all this light coming here, so the sun is somewhere over here. See, by adding the blue to the left side, then we have a shadow side. And then the underside of the leaves. I do that over here too. Okay, so now on these trees I'm going to add a little bit of trunk in there. And that's with burnt umber. Okay, I'm going to call those done. Thanks for watching.